Internet, how's it? You smell that?
Do you smell it?
Musty basement. No. Nah, that's spooky season. A time where inevitably my mother-in-law will tell me that I grew up in a place where the children of the corn live.
The hell does that mean?
But today I want to talk about my October TBR and what I read leading up to October. So grab your favorite flannel and watch out for those spooky spiders.
Spooky spiders everywhere.
So the first one I want to talk about is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. My first thoughts are not for me, I guess because of feelings.
I'm in a glass case of emotion.
It's just, even though I love fantasy, just not my cup of tea for whatever reason. But my wife read it and she said, Joe, don't be a knob and give it a try. But we're thrown into a kingdom that is ruled by fear, magic, and secrets that go way back in time. So in this world, children end up catching a fever, and what happens after is they gain magical powers. They don't really know what it is, but it's happening to a good number of kids. The royals, the rulers, have struck fear into the people, so they start turning on one another, and they rat each other out, and sadly, those kids never come back.
Wait. What do you mean it's dead?
But, like all good things, some parents don't tell the rulership what's going on. And so these kids are kept secret, and they grow up with these powers. And our main character, Elspeth, is one of these said children. So she is now growing up with these powers, but you have to keep it a secret. And her power is something that is very dark, very sinister, very old. And then we have to remember that magic comes at a cost. So I actually enjoyed the magic system in this book quite a bit. It's kind of like tarot cards in a way. So these cards hold magical powers, and so some of them you can control people's minds, you can make yourself more beautiful, you can go invisible. There's all sorts of things. And so the royal family is trying to collect all of these cards, and so that kind of brings in a little heist story throughout that Elspeth gets herself wrapped up in. I will say it's very moody, it's very gothic, kind of getting some little Sleepy Hollow vibes in there. And yes, there is a little bit of, if I had to give it, any type of rating, I would say like 4 out of 5, maybe a little bit higher. But I think it was a perfect leading into October fantasy book. So a little bit of a story time. It is October, and people like to collect Halloween decorations. So what's the perfect place to go to other than Home Depot? Target.
Be a long day, boys. Wife's in full fall mode, transitioning the whole house.
We're walking by the book aisle, and that's one place I never go down. It's probably the only place with books I never go down. But I said, what the heck? Who pops up? The king of horror, Stephen King. I might have mentioned this before on the channel. I'm not sure. I'm not a big Stephen King fan. It just doesn't do it for me. Maybe it's because I think he's a fake Red Sox fan. But for whatever reason, I've never really thought about reading his books. I've seen some of his movies. I read The Shining last year. It was okay.
Here's Johnny.
And I read 1963 a while back. I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago at this point. And I thought that was good. It was really long. But I liked the time travel, Kennedy assassination stuff. The one that popped up off the shelf for me was Pet Sematary. I think it was because of the old school 80s vibe cover art that they have on these now. I don't know much about Pet Sematary. I've heard some things, and those things are that it's very dark, very heavy, dealing with grief and death, and if you have kids, you might not want to read it. So yay for me. I have kids, and I've started reading it.
I'm in big trouble.
So I don't really know much about this book. My brother-in-law is actually part of a band called Ice Nine Kills. shout out to them. But if you like heavy metal horror, they wrote a whole album with that type of music, and Pet Sematary was one of the books or movies that they wrote a song on. So that's like the only thing I know about it. Yeah, so we're dealing with a Pet Sematary and probably an undead cat. So the other book, I don't actually have it yet, is called Anima Rising by Christopher Moore. I've mentioned Christopher Moore a little bit on the channel. He's very satirical comedy, wacky, wild things that go on in his books. It's a good change of pace book for me, usually. So I searched him during the summer, and I actually found out that he wrote like an October Halloween themed book. So if you haven't read Christopher Moore before, he wrote a book called Lamb. He wrote another book called Fluke. He's got a couple other series out there. I think there's like a vampire series and stuff. But he's very fun. Kind of Terry Pratchett, maybe a little bit. If you're from the fantasy genre. This book takes place in Vienna in 1911, and a famous artist comes across a body floating in the river. So you think, okay, this body is probably, but then she coughs, and he's like, whoa. So what does he do? He takes her home, and come to find out that she doesn't really have much of a memory, so they name her Judith. But as the story progresses, we're going to find out that she was stuck in the Arctic, and the only name she can remember is Victor Frankenstein. Yeah, that Frankenstein.
That's Frankenstein.
So like I said, we're going to have absurdity, satire, grotesque humor, some dark themes of identity and trauma, and then apparently we're supposed to be dealing with some supernatural and semi-supernatural elements, like a giant croissant eating dog. So this one sounds really fun. I'm looking forward to it, probably near the end of the month. But let me know what you're reading. Comment down below. What are you reading this spooky season? Maybe what's your favorite Halloween themed book of all time? I'd love to hear it. And if you like the video, like the video. And be sure to subscribe. I guess it helps me out. That's what I've been told to say. By no one in particular. But that's what everyone says. I don't know. I said it. So subscribe if you want. Remember, what's better than 1 cup of coffee? 2 cups of pumpkin spice latte. Peace.